me just say one more thing about 1837. 1837 is also interesting and tells us a lot about the last 5 years. One of the things that the states do in 1837 as this downturn happens is to begin to issue lots and lots of sovereign debt. Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana issue lots of state debt, which is sovereign debt at this point, and as a way of kind of backing themselves out of this financial crisis. Very much the way that Greece and Spain and Italy have done after 2008 by trying to fill up this void with bonds. Once those bonds come due, about 4 years later, it's clear that the states cannot pay them in just the same way that we see a shadow of the 2008 panic about 4 years after, 3 or 4 years after this initial panic. And it's not surprising that we see a sovereign debt crisis that kind of follows from a crisis in the kind of fundamental assets that are here. John Quincy Adams, and so Governor McNutt of Mississippi coins the term repudiation to describe what the state will do. He said, Mississippi will repudiate its debts. We will not pay them. Why? Because they're held by Jews in Europe. And the Jews in Europe are, they hold the key to the Sublime Porte. This is a dangerous institution, and we're not going to pay them. Mississippi, Alabama, a dozen states repudiate their debts in 1842, and it's the image of the U.S. in European eyes is awful in 1842. John Quincy Adams is so upset about these Mississippi River states reneging on their debts that he actually proposes that the U.S. Navy be pulled back from the ports in New Orleans and Mobile to allow British bondholders to land and seize any assets that they need to take. That if they're not going to, they can't just rely on the sovereignty of the United States. If they're not going to pay their debts, then it should be collected. This doesn't go anywhere for some reason, but. That story, though, is interesting, is very important for, in fact, understanding in part why the Confederacy is in such serious trouble 20 years later, or 18 years later, because Jefferson Davis, as a senator, endorses the Mississippi's repudiation of its debts. 18 years later, when the Confederacy goes back and tries to get bonds in Europe for the support of the Confederacy, they cannot get it because Jefferson Davis is effectively the chief repudiator in chief, right? He's the president of this Confederacy, but he has 18 years earlier endorsed Mississippi's repudiation of its debts. Mississippi's still not paid its debts.